Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside the Birds TV, presented by DraftKings. I'm Jeff Mosher. I'm usually with Adam Kaplan. He couldn't join us tonight, so instead I booted him and replaced him with two former Eagles. You can see him right there. We've got former Eagles safety Quintin Mikell, former Eagles wide receiver Jason Avant, and not only are they awesome guests, what's going on, guys? Not only are you guys great guests on ITB TV this week, but as we announced earlier on social media, and now we can talk about it even more, you guys will be the co-hosts of a new show on the Inside the Birds platform called Q&A. So we're excited to have you. You guys are definitely going to give our viewers, our audience, a next level kind of wisdom and insight that you're going to be able to share. You're going to break down the Eagles, what's gone on with them in the past, future, everything like that, the draft, free agency, and hey, we're excited to have you guys on. I hope you guys are fired up about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for helping us, kind of get started, and looking forward to it. It's always been something that's kind of been a passion of mine, kind of talking birds, and then just in general conversations with my friends and former teammates and players. So it'll be fun to be able to share some of our insight with the rest of the world.
Definitely. Well, I'm definitely excited. Definitely excited to see Q, you, Jeff, and Adam. I'm looking forward to it. I've learned a lot, playing the game. And then I had a unique experience with being able to coach with the team this year for an entire season. So I learned a bunch, and I'm ready to share insight and as much as I can give you guys, all the fans, about the game, all the knowledge I know. And we're going to have fun doing it. That's what we're going to do, So awesome. This is not big linemen, and I love Trey, and I love Jamal, and I love Ty. Those are my guys, right? They like to fart and tell jokes. We bring the swag, we bring the pretty, we bring the insight, we bring all of that. So if nothing else, you're going to leave this show confident.
Well, definitely. And I think if nothing else, I think our viewers, as you mentioned, we talk so much line stuff, thankfully, because the offensive line was such obviously a sore spot and a turnover area for the team, and that really affected him. But I'm excited to really get into the defensive backs, the position that you played, Q, and obviously the wide receivers that you played, Jason, because there's a lot of turnover. There's a lot of youth with the Eagles there. Jason, it's really cool that you brought up that you were coaching with the team. That was the Bill Walsh diversity coaching internship, right? Do I have that correctly?
Yep. So I started off as, for 1 month, just for training camp, and they asked me to stay on, and it was good. They gave me a little bit of autonomy when it comes to, working with guys after practice. I couldn't really implement any drills or anything of that nature just because they had a receiver coach, and I didn't want to be a challenge to him at all. I want him just to have his area. So I would work with the guys after practice. Namely, I would work with Greg Ward more than anybody because he was the one that was more eager and hungry to learn. So, and he had a pretty good season for, the receivers this year.
Absolutely. I actually really look forward to when you guys start going under the cover and breaking down the X's and O's, and we'll get some all 22 in there so you guys can really show to our audience what you're seeing and not seeing from everybody at the positions you're going to evaluate. I'm going to ask you guys both this because it's definitely pertains to the Eagles, both when you guys played, but especially this past year, the concept of coaching. Jason, this is probably your first time as a professional coach. I mean, you were coaching there on an NFL team. Q, you coach in South Jersey, right? You do some coaching at the high school, which was Clearview, I want to say.
Yeah, Clearview Regional.
Right.
Been there for this will be my second year. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm actually going to be the defensive coordinator this year for the high school. So nice. I'm excited for that.
Do you blitz more than Jim Schwartz? Is all anybody is going to ever ask you. Okay, we'll keep the secret under wraps. But let me ask you guys both. I'll start with you, Jason. From a coaching standpoint, obviously this is a new coaching staff. As a former player making that transition to coaching, how did it change you? What kind of approach mentally did you take to doing what you were doing? And what kind of observations did you make about what NFL coaches do on a daily basis?
Well, so let's start from the new coaching staff. right? So you have younger players, you have a bunch of younger receivers. The team is going through a turnover. They're going from, the Super Bowl championship team and all of those players that are now older, and they're bringing youth in. So you have a bunch of guys that were drafted last year that has to start over. So Jalen Hurts had some time, but that time it's only going to be half of the time that he normally would get, because you need time in the same system, because you need to hear the terminology. You need to know where the checkdowns are. You need to know, okay, this is where I'm reading on this play, if I'm front side or from back side. Same way with the receivers. The receivers was finally getting the offense down, and now they're going to hear all new terminology. And it's not a West Coast system. They're more of a number system that come out of the Marty Schottenheimer type of offense. So it's a totally different system, totally different verbiage. So you're losing a lot. Hopefully you'll gain it back with the offseason, which they didn't have last year. Mm-hmm. And most people think that coaching, most people think that coaching is, we just get the guys prepared, a few hours, the guys just, dick around a little bit. They go out and putz around on the field and, bam, you play. No, it's not like that. Those coaches are there a minimum of me, I was an intern coach that turned into, an assistant coach. And I was there for 65 hours, and my schedule was less than everybody else. Everyone else was at least 80, and most were right around 90. So can you imagine that? That's all your time. That's 15 hours Monday through Thursday. There's there's 8 on Friday, there's 4 on Saturday, and then there's all day on Sunday. So it's a lot. So anybody that's thinking about getting a pro coaching, you gotta love it.
Yeah, that is a lot of hours. And so how did it change you at all? Did you take an approach that, did you learn something about yourself? Because it's really the first time I think you coached like professional men at that level before.
The one thing that I learned about myself is that I love the technique part. And I never had the ability like the TOs or like the Deshaun's or these guys that could separate with, athleticism. I had, workable athleticism for an NFL player, but I had to fine tune my game in order to get open. So that kind of correlates to being able to be a better coach, because I didn't have athleticism I could depend on. I had to know the coverages. I had to know the defensive back's weakness. I had to know which hand he liked to shoot with. I need to know if he was a feather, a press corner, or he was going to do something in the middle. All of those things I had to know. So being able to disseminate and give that information to guys, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I found that it was very easy for me to do. Now, what I also found out is that I'm not putting up with 80 hours for nobody. It's just not happening, and that's, and I love coaching, but I don't love coaching enough to stay away from my family that much. And I don't love coaching enough to just totally sacrifice my life for that over again. Because Q and I sacrifice everything in order to play this game. You give it all up to play that game, and to do it over again, you're like, and you don't get paid as much. It's like, I don't know about this.
Hey, listen, that's good for us because now you're a part of our family. You left that family, you come to the Inside the Birds family, so we reap the benefits. Q, you tell me about. You're about to be a defensive coordinator. I know it's high school, but I'm sure there are similar concepts as far as having a plan, being organized, knowing your personnel as high school players. How much of what you're going to do is shaped by what you learned coming up through Jim Johnson?
Oh man, it's gonna be a lot. I think ultimately the biggest thing for me, especially as at the high school level, is to keep it simple, especially on defense. I mean, more so than offense. On defense, you really want to just kind of cut loose and kind of read and react. So defensively, obviously, I'm going to have some stuff in there, some twists here and there. I'm also on behind the 8 ball in terms of, I never played against when I was playing. I never played really against a zone read team, didn't play against a lot of option teams, and so I'm behind the 8 ball when it comes to that side of it as a defensive coordinator. But it's something I can catch up on pretty quickly and adjust. And Coach Scanlon over there at Clearview's the head coach, and he's been great to me, man. He's allowed me to just kind of build the playbook the way I want to, and be able to present it and just kind of have fun with this. So it's been a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm gonna have some wrinkles and some twists in there, but it's gonna be just a lot of just read and react type football.
Zero
Awesome.
blitz and no thinking. That's read and react. Zero blitz.
That's it.
Bring it back,
Maybe.
baby. Bring it back.
So
I don't want to bury the lead. I told our audience you guys are going to do a show for Inside the Birds. It's going to be called Q&A. It's going to debut next week. It'll debut Wednesday, 6 a.m. I believe Wednesday is March 3rd. So on the Inside the Birds YouTube channel, and of course we'll get it on the podcast platforms as well. And a lot of what you guys are going to talk about in your first show next week is going to be a little bit of a reaction to what's gone on with the Eagles over the past 5-6 weeks. Obviously, new coaching staff after a really rough season, and then the franchise quarterback Carson Wentz gets traded, and now you move on to Jalen Hurts. So before we, I'm going to really let you guys get into that in your show, but I do want kind of an overarching view of this, because if you guys, I'm sure you were there in 2019 just as witnesses to a team that rallied, made the playoffs. Unfortunately, Carson got hurt with the concussion, but a year later, I don't think anybody could have envisioned this scenario. So, Jason, I know you kind of saw it through firsthand as a coach, but it still has to be somewhat surprising that we're sitting here a year removed from that run to say everything is new now and Carson's gone.
Yeah, before I'm a coach, I'm an Eagles fan. Like, when you're in this area, we've been in this area for a long time now, 15 years or so. So we've been in this area a long time, and so I'm an Eagles fan. So yes, I watch every game intently. I'm looking at the offensive line. I'm looking at the plays that are being called, and I thought that Carson Wentz in 2019 had an impeccable, like a fantastic stretch run. He didn't play well early in the season, but he protected the football late in the season and made some throws in order to put the team into the playoffs. And that's what mattered. And I thought that Carson was on the verge of winning the city, because there was always this question mark behind Carson because of what Nick Foles was able to accomplish in his stead. So it was finally the time. 2018, there was even more questions because he goes out and the team is dead in the water. Nick Foles does it again. So 2019 was finally the season that says, you know what, this is my city, this is my team. And it was looking like that with all intents and purposes. 2020 comes along, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a coaching change. I don't necessarily know if it was what happened. But it wasn't the same Carson that we saw in 2019, and everyone in the stats bear that out, and the wins and losses bear that out. So there was something that occurred, and it seems to me that I don't necessarily know if it was grow or DeFilippo or Wright. There's so many theories and so many ways we can go about this. He didn't play well, and not only did he not play well, the offensive line didn't play well. Not only did the offensive line not play well, the receivers or any other position played. Everyone had a turn at being bad. And the quarterback gets the praise. Tom Brady gets 7. The Buccaneers, you never hear that they won their second, championship. Tom Brady gets 7. But when you lose, the quarterback gets the credit too, right? Mm-hmm. So he gets that blame. So it's on his shoulders. They pay him $100 million. And for $100 million, you have to consistently go up. And Carson started off with a 72 rating. He went up into the hundreds, the 90s, the 80s. Now he's at 70 again, and he's trending in the wrong direction. And now you have to make the decision as an organization what you're going to do. And the Eagles chose to cut ties because it was too hard to trust him. 4 out of 5 seasons, he did not complete the season. So with that being said, I understand from an organization standpoint why they made that decision. From Carson's standpoint, I understand why he could be frustrated, because he's looking at it like, man, it's only one bad season. But is it one bad season? Mm-hmm. Is it a bunch of average play mixed in with a year and 3 quarters of good play? And that's when you start to break it down. If you're nice, you say it was 2 good years, it was 2 average years, there's 1 bad year. So where does that leave me?
All right. Well, I look forward to even more of an elaboration on that in your first show next week, because I know you have some interesting observations on Jalen Hurts as well. Q, I want to flip sides here and talk about the defense, because you know how it is in Philly. If you're not the best, you're the worst, right? Jim Schwartz is by most accounts a very good defensive coordinator. Not perfect by any stretch of the means, but usually puts forward a pretty good defense. There's a new defensive coordinator who will be doing it for the first time in Jonathan Gannon. So I don't know how much you know about Jonathan Gannon. And to me, right now, it's not relevant. What I would like to hear from you is, after witnessing a certain style of defense for the last, I guess, 5 years under Jim, what is it you would like to see philosophically or different about the way the Eagles are defensively?
Well, what I'd love to see is a little bit more cerebral type of a game plan in terms of, I have a ton of respect for Coach Schwartz and what he's done here. I do believe that he's a player's coach, and especially in the sense of like the front seven, the front four, really, he just cuts those guys loose and lets them play. And that's great. And I applaud it. When you have a front four like we've had, there's no doubt that's the way you should play. That's the way you should let them play. But at the same time, there were times where I was hoping for a little bit more creativity in the back seven, creativity in the blitz schemes, creativity in the coverages. And yes, we were a little bit limited with some of our secondary players. We had some injuries. We had some new guys stepping in. We had some guys that may or may not had enough experience to be able to pull off more complex coverages. And we'll break that down a little bit more once we get into the breaking down the last season. But just from the outset looking in, I would love to see a little more creativity in the back end. Obviously, I'm from the Jim Johnson system, which is very similar to Zimmerman's system, which is where the new defensive coordinator comes from. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing, what he's going to bring to the table in terms of zone blitzing schemes, changing up the coverage in the back end, fire zones, those type of things. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research on him personally and his style of coaching. But so far, that's what I would like to see. I just want to see some more creativity in the back end, some more creativity from the defense, and just different ways of attacking instead of just, hey, let's drop back in coverage and let our front four get there. Because sometimes those guys get tired. Sometimes you gotta add a little pressure to help them out. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, you're right. And it's a really good observation that although he came from the Colts, right, for where he was for a couple of years under Matt Eberflus, who does a mostly cover two scheme, he spent several years with Mike Zimmer. So I'm that's another thing. Cover two is not a whole lot of, is not a concept that Jim was really fond of. He wanted to be cover one, cover three, and do his thing. So I am interested, and look how often the Eagles would get beat over the top. So I am interested in seeing how the philosophical change, and then also a personnel change. What is the scheme that they're going to run mean for the personnel that they're going to bring in? Maybe they'll value a different type of linebacker now, which I know people have, kind of chided the organization for years. I'll wrap this up with this, because I like how you guys are alluding to getting into certain X's and O's, and we'll have it all broken down and do our best to have the all 22 for people to see. I put you guys on the spot. I arranged this last second, so our audience, our viewers know that they've got mics, they've got nice settings, they've got good lighting. I just didn't allow for this to happen because I threw them on the spot here. So everything will be crystal clear and crisp.
You gotta be better.
I'll be better. I'll be a better producer, I promise. And I won't be part of the show. That's the best thing I think people are going to hear, that it's just going to be you two, and I'm going to be kaput. So that'll be good. But I want to close it with this, because I know that the Eagles have been through some downtimes before. Andy Reid got fired, then Chip Kelly got fired. And each time they've been able to kind of build back quickly. I do think the Eagles are in a unique situation, though, having a new staff and a new quarterback here. We'll see who it is. I find them at a crossroads right now. And I ask you both, and I'll start with you, Jason. Do you have like a level of concern? I mean, is this a different kind of vibe you have about this franchise for the first time? Or is it, they've been through this before, things will be all right?
You know what? The city and the organization is a winning organization, right? So we tend to, figure it out pretty quickly. It's different because one of the first times that I can remember, there's so much dissension, there's so much turmoil, there's so much uncertainty. And then to me also, there's a lack of clear direction. And that's what you sense from the fan perspective. You're like, hey, there was a Carson faction, there was a Doug Peterson faction, there was a Carson faction, there was a Jalen Hurts faction, right? There's guys that speak glowingly about Carson. There's guys that speak in metaphors and certain hidden sayings about Carson, right? So there's so many different things that's making me feel uneasy. So I'm not as confident as I used to be when something like this would occur, just because I begin to wonder if it's more I keep messing up the word. If it's more of the organization rather than the players that we have. And sure. Is it the coach, or is it Carson, or is this, or is it the organization is in disagreement? And those are things that are on my mind. And I think it's on every fan's mind. And so I'm not as confident, but I know that they have the winning pedigree to be able to turn it around. And I tell you this, there's nothing that can turn it around like a good quarterback. And if Jalen Hurts plays really well, you can right a bunch of wrong. We saw a bunch of wrong in New England this year. They didn't have the piece that meant the most. That's Tom Brady. Tom Brady goes down to the Buccaneers. Now, Buccaneers had a good team, but he's the piece that makes the difference. And the quarterback is that piece that makes the difference. And hopefully we got that guy by the start of training camp.
Right. Q, hold that thought. I want to remind people to download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use the promo code ITB to get all your sign-up bonuses. That's promo code ITB to get all your sign-up bonuses at DraftKings Sportsbook. Q, same question for you, just your general feel. And by the way, I purposely, like a good host, did not bring up Jalen Hurts because I kind of wanted to tease. I know you guys are going to talk about him a lot in your first episode, but that was good, Jay, because you just teased it. You didn't really go full force, and we look forward to hearing how you guys break down Jalen Hurts in your initial episode next week. But Q, just your overview of the franchise right now, your confidence level in them right now.
I'm not very confident, just because I kind of piggybacking off what Jason said, just the overall direction where we're going. I am not even fully certain that we're going to rock with Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Like, there's a very strong, from what I'm hearing, there's a very strong possibility that, listen, they might, if there's a quarterback there at 6, are they going to take a quarterback? So like now, if that happens, what do you do? And so I think looking forward, I think the first thing we have to do as fans, because I'm a fan, Jason's a fan, we're all fans, is to take the mindset of, listen, let's give it a year or two, because there's a lot that has to be worked out. There's a ton of issues, a ton of holes on this team. Secondary is a mess. Our O-line, we've got to address that. Skilled positions, we've got to address that. We have the Ertz situation, and we have the Jalen Hurts situation. So there's a whole lot of stuff we got to work through. And so I think we as fans and as analysts, let's just take a step back and let's see how this first year kind of shakes out. Let's see this new coaching staff, what their overall plan is. Because honestly, if you think about it, this is the first coach we've had that we don't know. Like, when Chip Kelly was coming in, we kind of had an idea, it was the fast-paced offense. It was going to be high power. We kind of had that idea. And then when Doug came in, we had that kind of idea, like, okay, he's from the Andy Reid coaching tree. We knew what Schwartz had done in the league as a defensive coordinator. This is the first time when we've been kind of drifting a little bit as fans and analysts of like, hey, what are we expecting? Because this is all new. This is all new territory for everyone. And so organizationally, maybe it was planned that way, just, kind of on purpose. We'll have to see. But I'm excited for draft day to see what the real plan is. Once that first pick is called, we'll understand a lot better where we're heading.
Well, I tell you, as a reporter, I love it. I love that uncertainty that I don't know about. I think you make a great point. I knew what Doug was good. I knew his pedigree. I knew Schwartz's pedigree. I kind of knew what to expect with Chip Kelly, as you guys were saying. This is like uncharted territory. And just as a reporter, I look forward to really finding out what these guys are made of, what their philosophies are, what their schemes are. But I more look forward to finding out what you guys got to say every single week here on the Inside the Birds platform. That's Q. That's A, Quintin Mikell, Jason Avant, Q&A. It's going to debut Wednesday, March 3rd, 6 a.m. on the Inside the Birds YouTube platform, Inside the Birds podcast platform. And we're going to talk a lot of football here this offseason with these guys, and I can't wait to see the breakdown. So thanks for joining us, Jason, Quintin. Appreciate it, and good luck. We're going to have a great time.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for watching. Inside the Birds TV. We'll catch you all on the next one. Take care, everyone.